I want to be a good person. It's not really a lofty goal. I think it should be something that we all kind of seek. I think it should be something that we all try to find our way towards. Defining it can be different for different people. I think a lot of people hear that statement and have a couple different reactions. They either feel that it's a disingenuous statement and that nobody wants to be a good person. Those people are jaded, and you kind of got to just, oh well. Let them kind of find their own way, because they're not really looking for happiness. And then there's the, person that hears that statement and goes, well, I want to be a good person too, and genuinely means it. And just saying that you want to do it doesn't mean that you're going to do it. I mean, we all fail at that attempt. We all have flaws and bad parts about us. And then there's the person that hears that statement and agrees with it and goes, I want to too, but I'm really going to make no effort. And if you don't agree with me in everything that I believe, then I'll judge you harshly. And no matter what you do, you're not a good person. That's far too often the kind of people we interact with sometimes. It just feels like, because I think unfairly, that type of person gets more attention. They garner, I don't know, maybe they have the louder voice. But it's okay to not agree with people. It's okay to have a different opinion than people. It's okay if people have an opinion the complete opposite of you on something that you believe in with everything in you. As long as that person is open and accepting of the fact that you have a different opinion and you are to them, and that you and that person both find common ground first, and then you can simply discuss your differences. I think that in all honesty, there's more value in that, far more value than that, than being stuck in an echo chamber with a bunch of people who just agree with everything you say. There's people who fundamentally disagree with almost everything I hold dear. But I find them to be amazing people. So I look at them for the people that they are. And just because we have a difference in beliefs does not mean that they're not good people. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It means that simply we've had different life experiences, that things have sent us down different paths which have brought us to different conclusions. And that there will be things that I'm wrong about, things that I'm misled about, things that I'm misinformed about, things that I need to correct about myself. And one of the easiest ways to get to that point is to find someone who can shed light on that in a respectful manner. Someone who can offer a counter to my opinion, but do it with kindness and respect. You ever hear you get more flies with... I don't remember how that saying goes exactly. I don't know if I want to be putting shit or honey out. I think it's honey. I don't know. But, regardless, it's easier to express yourself and get reaction in a positive manner if you're dealing with people who have a positive outlook. If you're dealing with people that only react negatively and only react to a negative statement, that's because they have a negative mindset. That's what they're looking to do. They're not looking to make positive gains and to positively impact people, and they're not looking to have a rational conversation. They're looking to disagree. And if you start off from a negative position trying to disagree with them, then you give them what they want, and you for all intents and purposes, are looking for the same thing, looking for the opportunity to disagree. I find that some of my best friends, my true friends, are not really like me. Not in every aspect. I mean, I know it's hard to find somebody that's like you in every aspect, but I know people that are much more like me than my best close friends. But I often don't care for those people or their conversation. It could be possibly because they're too much like myself. But just to say that they're like me in their beliefs on certain issues, or they're like me in their interest in certain issues, doesn't mean they have the same goals as me, the same interest as me, the same focus as me. I don't like to be labeled. I don't like to be nailed down. I don't like to be told what to do or what to think. And I find that often people who see things quite different than me on many other subjects or issues or points of view or anything in life, but have that same mentality, are people that I can connect with. People who don't really get their feelings hurt. People who don't really get mad at being questioned. That's a huge character flaw. If someone questions your belief on anything, it's easy, I've done it, everyone's done it, to react with anger and defense, because sometimes we put an emotional attachment on beliefs. But I found over the years that if your first instinct is to hear out the other person, and then your next instinct is to evaluate what they said and put weight in the information they've given, and then your next instinct is to either admit your wrong in the instance, or to question them and learn more about their point of view, or to simply state the facts that you feel prove your point of view, and be able to do so with accepting the fact that those facts may mean nothing to them. If you can do those things, if you can do it in that order, in that process, it just seems like the outcome is more beneficial to not only the person having the discussion with you, pointing out the thing to you, but it also becomes much more beneficial to you. It's more advantageous for yourself if you're able to look at other points of view. You can't live under the impression that you're always correct, because if you do, then you can't ever be wrong. I don't know. My grandfather said something to this effect once. I can't remember exactly what he said. He said a lot. He, like myself, liked to talk, and he and I talked a lot, especially late at night. But the gist of it is, if ignorance has no fine, if there's no penalty for ignorance, if there's no cost for ignorance, if ignorance has no cost, then knowledge has no value. Now, I don't know where he heard that from, or if I've heard that phrase that way somewhere besides him. I don't know. It's the saying. It's the meaning in it that matters to me. It applies in multiple ways. If people aren't afforded the ability to give wrong, but there's not a cost for being wrong, then there's no value in being right. If there's no cost for stupidity and ignorance, there's no value in intelligence and knowledge. You see, that is to say, if I address something and I express to you false, inaccurate information, beliefs, and when my beliefs turn out to be inaccurate and untrue, if there's not someone there to look at me and go, you were wrong, and this is where you were wrong, and how you were wrong, and this is what we really need to look at as blah, 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 this and that. With that, if I allow that and I accept that as part of the conversation, as part of a life experience, and then I extract from that knowledge of my failure of interpretation or whatever it may be, that I was wrong and this is right, then there's a reward, there's a value to that knowledge. If I simply make an excuse for how I was wrong, but not really wrong, I was right. You interpreted it wrong. It was a lie. It was false. The information wasn't real. I could not possibly be wrong. If I continue to do that, then I impose on myself no cost for my ignorance. So therefore, there's no value that I place on knowledge. And it's much easier to falsely value and chase the ignorance than it is to pursue the knowledge. And it's a rut you get stuck in. I always start these out, well, not always, but often start these out with a saying, and I repeat the saying throughout because it seems like I'm scatterbrained, and I may be going in 100 different directions, but at the beginning I said, I want to be a good person. But if being a good person means I have to unconditionally agree with everything you believe, then I'm not really being asked to be a good person. I'm being asked to be a slave. I'm being asked to be a zombie. More often than not in life, that's what we're asked to be. We're asked by some people we may consider friends but aren't really friends, believe my way or else. That's not your friend. Believe the way you want to believe and passionately tell me about your beliefs. But with just as much respect as I give your passion, respect mine. Consider the situation. Give me facts. Give me example. Don't give me hearsay. Don't give me something you heard on the evening news. Give me a true belief, and I'll value it. It doesn't have to be the same as mine. It doesn't have to change my mind. My mind gets changed often. I think that's, to have a strong resolve is not the same as being stubborn in your beliefs. And I think often they get confused. And I think a willingness to be fluid and flexible, and a willingness to be wrong when one is actually wrong, is often looked at as a weakness. It's not valued to be a free thinker. It's not valued to be someone who readily admits when they're wrong. And I don't understand that. It's not logical. It's actually the exact opposite of logical. It's irrational all the way around. But it is the case a lot of times. I want to be a good person. And I want to be good to people. I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to be good to people. I'm not going to be force-fed the opinions of others. If I believe you're truly wrong, then I'll tell you I believe you're truly wrong. If you believe I'm truly wrong, I welcome that. But I don't welcome the ridicule of my idea or the ridicule of yours. That one may have really confused a couple of my friends, because that's exactly what they get from me, is the ridicule of their beliefs, and I get from them the ridicule of mine. But it's different. I know the intent's not real. I don't really disrespect their beliefs, and I know that they don't really disrespect mine. It's quite to the contrary. There is a tremendous amount of respect both ways. we dislike to say horrible things to each other because we don't offend. And I like that. I don't want that to change. Belief structures can only be formed a few ways. There's the preferred method: experience, experimentation, and the actual examination of facts. That is a healthy way to form belief structures. I've been told some things can't be measured that way. I don't know that I agree with that or understand that, but that's fair enough. The other way is popular opinion. Not a very big fan of popular opinion, especially not in a world as large as ours, because there can be really multiple popular opinions. One would think that popular opinion is a unanimous thing, but that's dependent upon region, country, state, county, city, religion. A lot of factors go into that, but popularity can determine a belief structure. I'm not very fond of that at all. Actually, it would be something that I truly find disheartening and don't understand the principle of. Another way that belief structures are formed is fear. Really one of the worst. It uses misinformation and bad data and false statements and entities that often are supposed to garner respect and be protective are used to manipulate belief structures with fear. Our political system in the U.S. is a belief structure based on fear and misinformation. It's based that way from both sides. It's one of the most disgusting examples of fear-mongering in the world. Yet it still has one of the highest ratios of freedom in a decision-making process than any other of its kind in the world. It's just, I want to be a good person, but I will not be forced to agree with you. And if you feel that makes me a bad person because I disagree, then I respect your beliefs. I've questioned mine many, many times every day. That's part of being a person to me. That's part of being a human, is the examination, processing, and evaluation of the world around me. Just because I don't believe in your political views doesn't mean I'm not a good person. Doesn't mean I don't like you. Doesn't mean I don't care about you. It doesn't in any way. We lose that as people. We confuse that as people. We often write good people out of our lives because they have a different political view than us. Often, we as good people get written out of people's lives because of different political views. Families have real separations based on political views. There's a few things that concern me about that. The biggest being that statistically, both sides are equal offenders. Because here in America, we only have two sides. That's irrational for a country as large as ourselves. We only have two options, but that's the outcome. And statistically, the other side is on your side. Statistically, both sides do wrong and do harm. If you really look at the numbers, whether it be the NRA or it be Big Pharma, whether it be abortion or it be gay marriage, no matter what the situation is, no matter which party is elected, no matter how many steps they're allowed to take one way or the other, they always find themselves back to the same spot, back to a point to where they both have an opposing opinion, because opposing opinions get votes. Behind the scenes, statistically, when you look at it, they're both leading you down the same path. They just try to keep a wall between you so you can't see where the other one's going. That's a crazy thing. And as we get closer to November, that'll become amplified. The news will divide you the closer we get to November. The candidates will divide you the closer we get to November. Social media will divide you the closer we get to November. Misinformation will be spread. Beliefs will be questioned. Friendships challenged. In a country that is a lot more united than people give it credit for, will be divided for a short time. It's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of not being willing to see another point of view. It's odd. It's odd. Because there are amazing people on both sides. And I say sides because they literally have taken sides as if it's a war. They take sides as if statistically anything has changed in a significant way, in a significant area from the last 4 years. Or that statistically things changed any from that 4 years to the 4 years before that. Statistically, debt increases. Statistically, cost of life increases. Statistically, leaders make more money. Statistically, the media grows stronger. Statistically, people become more divided at election time. Statistically, we're still living in the first world, worrying about first world problems. And statistically, that's hard for third world countries to understand. Statistically, we have many of the same issues we've always had. And statistically, those issues only go away when the population gets to a point that it's no longer advantageous for the two parties to take a different approach on each side. Statistically, in the same manner, things only become an issue when it becomes advantageous for one party to take a different stance than the other. And it doesn't matter which party takes which stance. The point is, they're doing it to get your votes, not because they believe it. I want to be a good person. And in fairness, many people may say that part of being a good person would be avoiding politics in any manner. And I would agree with that. That's a pretty solid choice. That's why I don't come on here and talk one way or the other. Because I like numbers. I'm not obsessed with numbers. But I like numbers, and you can make numbers say whatever you want. There's a negative spin on everything. But if you look at numbers rationally, and you take out the glitz and the glamour, and you take out the scum and the dirt, and you take out the filter, and you take out the skewing, and you just look at factual information the way it stands, neither party's on your side. Neither group cares about you. Neither side wants what's best for you. It's a statistical fact. But I don't dislike anyone that disagrees with that. Most people do disagree with that. Most of my good friends disagree with that. And I'm okay with that. I respect their disagreement. I respect their beliefs. And I have no problem with their beliefs. No problem with the fact that they disagree with me. It doesn't hurt me in any way. To the contrary, it allows for good conversation. Because debate can be good conversation. Civil conversation is good conversation. Arguments are not good conversations. Let me explain to you how you know if you're having a good conversation. If you're not the person speaking, and you're listening to the other person speak, and this is hard to do, don't get me wrong. I don't do this all the time. No one does this all the time. I don't believe. If they do, I admire them greatly, and it is my desire to get to this point. But if the other person is talking, and you're so interested in what the other person's saying that you are not thinking about your response, you're only thinking about what you're hearing, that is a good conversation. That's a goal. That's something to be sought after. That's something to be desired. Something to be achieved. To have a conversation where you actually intake the information from the other person. Process it. Think about it. My grandfather would always sit with his head down, and he'd listen. He was almost never the first person to respond. He almost never responded quickly. Oftentimes, he didn't respond until way after the statement, way after the question, way after the issue had been raised. Then, he'd raise his head, and he'd look around the room, and he'd look to the person he was talking to, and he would express his thoughts. See, he had taken the time to calculate what they had said, what he knew to be true, what he believed, the possibilities of the inaccuracies in his beliefs, the possibilities and the inaccuracies of the facts he thought he knew, because the facts we think we know are not always right. I'm the world's worst for that. And after examining all these things, then you had a response. Then he had a rebuttal. And not just did he have a rebuttal, but he had a rebuttal that was informed, thought out, and articulate. Now, occasionally he was angry. That came much later in life because his temper waned as he got older, and those responses sometimes were quicker and more furious and with the pointing finger and the bit lip, but still, it was a response that had some thought put into it. Now, occasionally there were responses with no thought whatsoever. That happens. That's life. We all do that. We have fun conversations that are based on just casual, relaxing things that don't require such attentiveness, don't require such concentration. You still respect the person, you still admire the person, you still enjoy their company and enjoy the conversation, but it doesn't require the the focus that others require. That's life. Nothing is the same all the time. Nothing's consistently black and white. Nothing's consistently ones or consistently zeros. It's a mixture of all things. I want to be a good person. I just may not always agree with you. And I know you're not always going to agree with me. I'm told often that my beliefs are rather hard to process or ridiculous, or I get all kinds of great insults upon my beliefs, but I don't have to take that personally. They're my beliefs. I have a foundation for them. I have something that gives them value. I have something that for some reason gave them credence to me, gave them value to me, so why do I have to be concerned about someone else's belief in my beliefs? That's why they are my beliefs. I'm not going to judge you for disagreeing with me. I'm not going to be upset at you for disagreeing with me. See, if there's something I'm really passionate about, something I really believe, obviously I would like for other people to believe those same things. But I want them to believe those things because they really believe those things. I want them to believe those things because those things were accurately, properly, and factually portrayed to them. I want them to believe those things because those things are right. And I don't know if I'm always right. We need a filter. We need something to take out human error as much as humanly possible. So if I don't know if I'm always right. So I don't want people to believe what I believe just because I believe it. I want them to believe it because they have the same information or the same belief or the same experience that I've had. But you can take something that you truly believe in, something that you truly feel to be correct, because of the life experiences you've had. And you can find someone who has a completely different outlook on things, an outlook you disagree with in every way. But if your life experience becomes in some way similar to theirs, or you have a new life experience, it can change your point of view completely around. A lot of issues aren't right and wrong. A lot of issues are dependent upon the person, the place, the everything. Life's not about right and wrong. Life's about the experience. That's what's so weird about the things we put such a value on. These things aren't really right and wrong that we value so greatly. Not in the least. In all honesty, these things are little more than man-made strife. But we treat them like they have a value so much higher than anything else, and we treat them like they are infallible. These belief systems are infallible. And nothing's infallible. It's a ridiculous statement. It's factually ridiculous. Look it up. Do the research on it. Think about it. But you don't have to agree with me. I just simply want afforded the ability to express my opinion and do so to someone who will respectfully take it in and respectfully agree or disagree. I guess it's why I never understood trolls. Don't get me wrong, I like to have fun, I like to pick at my friends, I like to say things that may be provocative to them, but to just troll a person, an innocent person who just, for no reason, just to elicit a response for something I don't really believe in. I don't have anything against it or anything wrong with it, because it's good practice. It's good practice for people like myself who want to work on believing a certain way and want to work on being accepting. That's good practice. Trolls keep you on your feet. But I couldn't do it. I don't understand it. There are beliefs, there's things that you can believe that will completely and totally just check me out. Like I won't hate you for it or dislike you for it, but if you have a belief system of racism that's just so strong that you're not willing to even consider that you're wrong, I don't know what kind of value you have. And I can't spend my time trying to be a good person with someone who has no desire to be a good person. So there are beliefs that just I draw the line at. There's beliefs that everybody draws the line at. If you see no value in human life, if you're just a murderer and you see no value in human life, well, I mean, we're not going to get very far in a discussion. It's not going to happen. If you can hate a person because of their sexuality, I mean, you know, if that's all you have to talk to me about every minute of every day, well, two things. One, I don't really have time for you, and it's not a dislike for you. It's just I don't have time for that. That kind of ridiculous negativity is way too overwhelming, and really, if you really hate it that much, you probably just need to seek some type of psychological help to deal with the urges that you're probably hiding deep down inside. I want to see the good in everyone. I've got a friend that I tell that to all the time, and he tells me, you know, you see too much good in people. He says I'm the yin to his yang because sometimes he just sees the bad in people because he had a job that made him experience that. See, I know that person, though. That's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. He is genuinely one of the best humans I've ever known. He's a good, caring, sweet person. He's been soured by the world. He sees as much good as I see. He just has a tougher exterior. I don't know, people who listen to this and never see me, there's not a lot tough about me. I'm not a tough guy. I don't pretend to be. I'm not. I'm a pushover. And I love people. And I do probably see too much good in people because it does backfire occasionally. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I have one desire. I want to be a good person. I want to be accepting. I want to be understanding. I want to be dependable. I want to be reliable. I want to be beneficial to other people around me. I've not always been that. I'm not always that now. But that's what I want to be. And it's like any other goal in life. You have to take it in increments, and you have to look at it, and you have to build towards it, and you have to do things that make you get closer to that goal. I want to be a good person, but I'm not going to agree with everything you say. I'm not going to believe everything you believe. And I want to get along with everyone I ever come in contact with, if humanly possible. But I'm not going to agree with you all. And just because someone doesn't agree with you, it doesn't make you a bad person. A lot of times when I record these, I know what they're going to be called. I don't have a clue on this one. It's an odd one. It's just something that was on my mind. This is really what I started doing these podcasts for, was to get these type of podcasts out. And it's just something that was on my mind. And I don't know. I wanted to talk about it. I get uncomfortable around people who I feel like expect me to only see things their way. And it's unfortunate. But I think that'll change. I think the most significant part of human evolution is mental evolution. And we are mentally evolving. And the world's getting better and safer, and statistically that's true. But different areas are moving at different rates, and there's an issue there. But that's its own show in its own right, and we're done for today. I want to thank everybody that listens. It's not a lot of you, but it's enough to keep me doing it, and I really like that. But like, share, and do whatever you can with this thing. Tell people about it. See if you can find other people that like it. If you want to interact with the show, authorjperk@gmail.com or jperkins on YouTube, because these are on YouTube as well. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on about everything. We're on Spreaker. I'm happy to get to do these. I enjoy getting to do these, and I'm very appreciative that anyone wants to hear this. Quick little run through. I always mention things that I like, things that matter to me. Red Spotted Newt, READ, Hazard, Kentucky, greatest bookstore in the world. You don't need Barnes & Nobles. You don't need the big chain stores. You need Red Spotted Newt in your life. Go there. They can get anything you want. For the most part, they've got a lot of stuff, especially local artists, and they've got local artwork, but they've got local authors, and that's awesome. It's the only place in Eastern Kentucky you can find my book. It's the only physical brick and mortar store in the world right now, to my knowledge, that you can get my book in. You can get Coal Kingdom there. Everyone is different, just like me, that I wrote for my son, and The Boy with Super Hearing. You can get those there. If for some reason you don't live around here, you can get them off Amazon. They are available for Amazon Prime, but make the trip to Hazard, Kentucky. We got a lot of new restaurants there. Go eat at one of the new restaurants. Go up and buy a book, or just go look. That's what I do. Occasionally I break out and have to buy something, because it's hard to go in there and not buy something, because it's something we've not had here in Eastern Kentucky. I've been dealing a lot with a local record store called Roundabout Music in Whitesburg, Kentucky. I mean, it's an actual record store. They've got, sound equipment. Amazing people, great people. Check it out if you're in that area. Whitesburg's a wonderful place. You've got the tattoo shop down there, the parlor room. There's great artwork available at the parlor room as well as Roundabout Music. Great tattoo work you can get done there. I mean, support local artists, support local businesses. I think that's everything. Chain Reaction, BJJ, Hazard, Kentucky. I could sit and tell you how valuable I think jiu-jitsu is all day long, on a million different levels. But I would prefer you just went in and met the people, because if you went in and met the people, it wouldn't matter what you were training there. It's the best people on the planet. Check out other podcasts. I love other podcasts. I listen. I mean, my week is Tell 'em Steve Dave, the Joe Rogan podcast, Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. NPR's got some good ones. National Geographic's got some good ones. You want a more lighthearted local one and you live in Eastern Kentucky, you could listen to the Raving Television Addict. But do something with your time. I don't know. It's nice outside, people. Get outside. Have a great day.